Respected Dharma Masters, respected practitioners and guests. In the last talk, we learned how Mr. Liao Fan told his son that when we are absolutely honest and truthful, our hearts will be in agreement with the will of heaven. We need to be sincere in everything we do. We do not lie to others or to ourselves. We do not cheat others, and we do not fool ourselves. The will of heaven is what Buddhists call the true nature, our original self-nature, our Buddha nature. It is the state of having no wandering thoughts. It is constantly maintaining only those thoughts which are virtuous, honest, and devoid of hypocrisy. When we do so, our hearts will be in agreement with the will of heaven. We accomplish this sincerity by severing our desires. What do we cut off? The 6 dusts, or the senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thought, and the 5 desires of wealth, lust, fame, food or drink, and sleep. If we are unable to sever or at least reduce these desires, our minds will constantly be overwhelmed by outside attractions. Instead of a heart of sincerity, we will have a heart of longing. Even if we cannot completely discard these longings, we can work to curtail them. Most of us are immersed in our wandering and discriminatory thoughts and the enjoyments that we experience through our 6 senses. We concentrate on being more considerate of others. We will improve in our level of attainment. If we are presently unhappy and undergoing many difficulties, be patient. We should continue doing good. The hardships and difficulties will soon be over. When this happens, good fortune will soon be ours. Then, when we share our good fortune with others, it will become even greater good fortune. Giving results in gaining. Therefore, in order to receive, we must first let go. If we are reluctant to let go, then we will be unable to receive. So this chapter on reforming our destiny is all about letting go. What if we seek something? To seek also helps us to receive. But how do we seek? Just let go, and everything we seek will be ours. And the first thing we let go of is our desires, our longings, our attachments. Mr. Liao Fan said that when we are absolutely sincere and honest, our hearts will be in agreement with the will of heaven. This advises us to discard from the root, to discard our selfishness, to completely extinguish any thoughts of benefiting the self, to completely extinguish thoughts of ego. Instead, all of our considerations should be of how to benefit others, society, humanity, and every living being throughout the universe, throughout all of time. In the last talk, Mr. Liao had written about a person who had always behaved badly. But in his last, most important moments as he was dying, he realized what he had done and deeply regretted all his wrongdoings. With that, he peacefully passed away. From the text. This is to say that if a person can have an overwhelming and courageous kind thought at the most important moment, then it can cleanse away hundreds of years of accumulated misdeeds. This is just like needing only one lamp to bring light into a valley that has been dark for 1,000 years. It does not matter how long one has been committing misdeeds, or if the offenses were newly made. He or she is an exceptional person as long as they are able to reform. End quote. Both Buddhists and Confucian scholars have said this truth. It is the truth, not something false. We need to be brave and determined in regretting and reforming. Even if the offense is major or of long standing, it can still be regretted and eradicated. Having an overwhelming and courageous kind thought at this most important moment, just as we are about to die, is to truly and sincerely regret and to eradicate karmic obstacles. In this way, it can indeed cleanse away hundreds of years of accumulated misdeeds. The book speaks of only needing one lamp to bring darkness into a valley that has been dark for 1,000 years. This is comparing the lamp and its brightness to our bravery and determination in reforming and in our ability to wash away long accumulated misdeeds. Thus, regarding offenses, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter from time long past or newly made, what is of utmost importance is that we reform. In Buddhism, it is often said that true Buddhist successors are rare. If we are not true Buddhist successors, we will be unable to continue the lifeline of Buddhism. For example, a cup needs to be cleaned very well for the water it contains to be drinkable. If it has not been cleaned well, if it has been tainted with just a bit of poison, and we fill it up with water, then we will be poisoned. Poison is the negative karma. To become true Buddhist successors, we first need to completely eliminate our afflictions. Then we will be capable of receiving the Buddha's teachings. And then we will be able to benefit others, not just ourselves. Previously, Mr. Liao spoke of reforming and cultivating good fortune. Why do we need to reform first? To make ourselves into a repository for the teachings, so that we are able to receive all the good fortune that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, beings and spirits of heaven and earth, bestow on us. This is true good fortune, not that which changes. If our repository is not properly cleaned, but is filled with afflictions and with negative karma, then the good fortune given to us by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will turn into even deadlier poison. How can we allow this? This is why we need to start anew. Then we will be able to cultivate good fortune. If we do not reform our erroneous ways, then the good fortune we cultivate will serve to increase our faults to their fullest. Why? Without good fortune, we only commit small transgressions, since we do not have the opportunity to create larger ones. However, with great good fortune, then the wrongs we commit will be even bigger. In the future, this will lead us deeper into the hell realms, to bear even more suffering. Poor people in this world, although they may have thought of committing more serious transgressions, are generally unable to commit big ones, whereas the ones that rich people commit are more serious than those of ordinary, average people. We need to understand that before we cultivate good fortune, we first need to reform to eradicate misfortunes. Then the good fortune that we cultivate will be genuine goodness. If we do not eradicate our accumulated misfortunes and bad habits before we cultivate good fortune, then our good fortune will help us increase even worse offenses. In passing on knowledge, will a truly benevolent teacher teach this kind of student? No. Why not? He knows that it will harm the student. Buddhism would say that this student is not a proper Dharma repository. If he or she is not, then the teacher cannot pass on the teachings. This is not to say that only a very smart and intelligent person can be a Dharma depository. No. If a person has a pure mind, has a kind heart without greed, anger, ignorance, or arrogance, then he or she is a Dharma repository, regardless of how intelligent or unintelligent he or she may be. We read in Master Tan Shu's memoirs about a monk who took moldy candles out to dry in the bright sunlight. He was very slow-witted, without even the slightest bit of wisdom. But his mind was pure. He was honest, and he bore ill will for no one. The old master took a liking to him. He was a Dharma repository. So the master taught him to prostrate to the relics of Buddha Shakyamuni at the Ayu temple 3,000 times a day. And in 3 years, he was awakened. After awakening, he was able to compose poetry, verses, was extremely articulate. Eventually, he even lectured on sutras and was widely welcomed. But although he had achieved attainment, he lived thriftily. He was very humble and courteous towards others. To be able to be so is to be a Dharma repository. And this is true good fortune. By choosing a successor, a master can either help a person to achieve or can harm that person. Starting from the past, good teachers, whether Buddhist or non-Buddhist, have been selective in choosing their successors. The most important criterion is virtuous conduct. Other qualities are not taken into account because they can be nurtured. Thus, if we really want to achieve, really want to be born into the Pure Land, to be able to benefit ourselves and others, we need to start by reforming. As Mr. Liao said, it is of utmost importance that we reform. From the text. Besides, we are living in a tumultuous and constantly changing world. Our body, made of flesh and blood, is extremely perishable. If our next breath does not come, then this body will no longer be a part of us. Then, even if we did want to reform, we would no longer have the chance to do so. End quote. These 4 sentences advise and encourage us to grab hold of the opportunity, to regret and reform while we still are able to. This world is constantly changing, is impermanent. The sutra stated that life is only a breath. If our next breath does not come, it is the next life. And it will then be too late to think about regretting and reforming. Knowing that this is the utmost important matter in life, we need to earnestly regret, to treasure this opportunity to not waste time, but to reflect daily within, to regret and reform daily. Being able to do so is true cultivation. However, many people think that cultivation is reciting sutras, prostrating to the Buddha, or simply chanting a Buddha's name daily. To do so in this manner has nothing to do with our negative habits. It will change nothing. To recite sutras is to cultivate. Cultivation is to recite for 1 hour and to not give rise to any wandering thoughts during this hour as we focus our attention on the sutra text, even to a point of not analyzing the meanings, because to do so is also wandering thoughts. Thus, the goal of cultivation is developing the pure mind, is halting our wandering thoughts. Reciting sutras, chanting mantras, or chanting a Buddha's name all share this goal, and this is cultivating the mind. When the mind is pure, the body will also be pure. Throughout the years, many have truly taken to heart that with purity of mind, the body will become pure and will not fall ill. Naturally, we still need to be careful with our daily intake of food and drink, and careful of our manner of living. With a body that is pure, an environment that is pure, without worry, without afflictions, although we are advancing in age, we would neither fall ill nor age. Venerable Master Ching Kong's late teacher, Mr. Bingnan Li, is an excellent example of this. Even in his 90s, every day was a rush of lectures, appointments, social engagements, etc. From this, we can clearly see how a person who is advanced in years can remain perfectly competent while living a healthy, long life without falling ill. Many younger people cannot accomplish this. It was all due to his purity of mind and thus his body. From the text. Therefore, when we commit a wrongdoing, our retribution in the physical world is a bad reputation, which will last for hundreds, even thousands of years. Then, even filial children and loving grandchildren cannot restore our honor. Then in our afterlife, we might end up in hell, suffering immeasurable pain. End quote. If we do not know how to regret our wrongdoings, do not know how to reform, then we will be burdening future generations with our bad reputations. Even our filial children and virtuous grandchildren will not be able to wipe these away. We are currently unable to see the hells with our own eyes. But please be assured that our negative karma will lead us to the hell realms, and they are truly terrifying. Sutras talk of the hells, and there are many explanations of how long we will remain in them. The easiest to read and understand is the one Mr. Lee listed in the 14 lectures outline. They are very believable and accord with the sutras. 1 day in hell is equivalent to 2,300 years on earth. The Chinese proudly often tell of their 5,000 years of history. But this is only 2 days in the hell realms. And think how terrifying the hells are. The shorter lifespans are 10,000 years. If we were to calculate their days to be 365 days in a year, that means that a day in the hells is equal to almost 3,000 years in the human realm. We must understand the magnitude of this. The suffering is ceaseless without a day of release. We will not be able to emerge for hundreds and thousands of eons. And in this lifetime, it is very easy to commit the cause of going to the hell realms. However, once we fall into the hells, it is unimaginably difficult to get out again. Therefore, if we believe that the Buddha only tells the truth, then how can we continue to act rashly and commit offenses? From the text. Even the sages, virtuous people, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas cannot help us escape from the bad consequences. So how can we not be afraid? End quote. Even the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, with their great compassion and kindness, are unable to help free us once we fall into the hell realms. Can Earth Treasure Bodhisattva, who presides there, help to free us when we fall into the hell realms? No. Very honestly, he can only help those who already possess abundant good roots and good fortune. Those who can accept and accord with his teachings. Then they will truly regret and mend their ways to be able to transcend the hell realms. However, when we are suffering from intense pain, it is virtually impossible to accept even kind, good words. The more we suffer, the more malicious thoughts and angry feelings we have. Then, even when others say something pleasant to us, we may feel that they have insulted us and hate them even more for it. This is true for those who are suffering in this world, much less those in the hells. Thus, more often than not, those suffering in the hell realms will commit even more serious offenses, consequently making the transcendence from the hell even more difficult. And this is why even Buddhas and Bodhisattvas cannot help us. What kind of people is Earth Treasure Bodhisattva able to help? Those who truly possess good roots and good fortune. Because of one erroneous fault, these people fall into hell but are able to be helped. Earth Treasure Bodhisattva can advise and encourage them. Because they are willing to listen, to regret, and to be awakened, it is easier for them to transcend the realms. But if they do not possess these abundant and good roots, and have consequently fallen into the hells because of one wrong thought, there is no way to help them. Even Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are helpless in this matter. After seeing this and considering how it is, how could we not be afraid? The second way to reform teaches us to have a fearful heart. We need to know that we cannot hide even the slightest fault from the beings and spirits of heaven and earth, much less from all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Therefore, even if we are in a dark room, we would do well to not give rise to even one deviated thought. And without deviated thoughts, we naturally will not commit any bad deeds. This is the simple truth. Therefore, when we regret and reform, we need to start from our hearts. When our hearts, our minds, are virtuous and kind, naturally our speech and behavior will be likewise. When our hearts are not virtuous and kind, no matter how we try to pretend, our speech and behavior will be a lie. From the text. The third way to reform is that one must have determination and courage. End quote. We need to be brave in regretting and in reforming. The first way talked about how being ashamed is close to being brave. Being ashamed is to be awakened. Not being ashamed is being deluded. Therefore, being ashamed is a condition for awakening. Being courageous is a condition for its effort and accomplishment. Being ashamed is to awaken from within, for the mind to be truly awakened. Having a fearful heart is the external force that helps us to refrain from doing anything bad, which also reflects the extreme, deep shame in our self-nature. Shame is the state of mind of being ashamed. Fear is the state of mind of being conscience-stricken. To feel ashamed and to be conscience-stricken are two virtuous states of mind. There are 11 dharmas in the 100 Dharma Doors to Enlightenment Sastra, one of which includes shame. If we can feel ashamed, then we are bound to achieve. Throughout his life, Master Ingguang said that he was constantly shameful. That is, he would constantly bear in mind a shameful and a fearful heart. He cultivated with this frame of mind. Thus, he was able to be diligent and brave in improving himself. And in this way, he truly achieved in having a determined and courageous heart. From the text. When we hesitate to reform our faults because we really do not want to change, we are content with what we can get away with. For a reform to take place, we must use all of our efforts and resolve to change immediately. We should not doubt or postpone our resolve to change until tomorrow or the day after. End quote. More often than not, we are drifting along day to day. Please be aware that if we are not advancing, we are regressing. We do not seek progress. We especially do not have the heart to keep progressing in our virtuous conduct. Today, people are also brave and diligent in trying to advance. But what they seek are the 5 desires, the 6 dusts, and the 4 poisons. They do not know to fear the consequences. The sages of this world and beyond taught us to keep progressing in our morality, ethics, and wisdom, for they are higher than just academic attainment. Learning is different from academic attainment. Learning is the wisdom that flows from our true nature, what Buddhists call our original innate wisdom. On the other hand, academic skills and learning are called worldly intelligence. Today, we advance bravely and diligently, but we are going in the wrong direction. We are going into the 6 realms of reincarnation, into the 3 bad realms. The sages of this world and beyond teach us that we need to transcend the 6 realms, to free ourselves forever from reincarnation, to catch up with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This is correct. Therefore, Mr. Liao Fan said that to reform we must use all of our efforts and resolve to change immediately. We should neither doubt nor wait to reform, nor postpone our resolve to change until tomorrow or sometime in the future. Once we have realized this, we must do all that we can do to lift our spirits and diligently advance. We need to do it now without any doubt, delay, hesitation. There is no need to wait any longer. Say it, do it now. From the text. A minor fault is like a thorn piercing our skin. It should be quickly removed. End quote. When we have a thorn piercing our skin, it is very painful. We will do whatever we can to quickly extract it. But to bear a minor fault in mind is even more painful. We need to become aware of it. For if we are not, it is as if we have no sense of feeling, as if we do not know that we have pain, that we do not know that something is piercing our body. Now, it is not our flesh that is unfeeling. It is our conscience. From the text. A big fault is like a finger bitten by a poisonous snake. We must cut off that finger without hesitation to prevent the poison from spreading and taking our life. In the I Ching, when we get the symbol of wind and thunder, it tells us that we have strong determination in reforming and are certain to succeed in doing so. End quote. A big fault is like being bitten on the finger by a poisonous snake. We should not hesitate to quickly cut off that finger. Why? If we do not cut it off, the poison will spread and we will die. This is just an example to show how determined we need to be to end all incorrect ways. When we are lethargic and listless every day, it is due to our karmic obstacles emerging. When we have numerous wandering thoughts, afflictions, worries, and find that nothing is going as we wish, it is due to our karmic obstacles arising. In Buddhism, we often speak of these karmic obstacles. What are they? They are nightmares at night when we cannot sleep. They arise when we do not have a regular pattern of living in our daily lives. When this happens, we need to earnestly reflect within, to be vigilant. If we are able to correct all of our faults, then our karmic obstacles will be eradicated. When we have fewer karmic obstacles, we will be filled with the Dharma joy. We will feel light in body and mind without any burdens. To have fewer karmic obstacles means to have fewer afflictions, fewer worries. With fewer afflictions, our mind will naturally be pure and constantly give rise to wisdom. With wisdom, we will see and understand very clearly everything around us, whether affecting body or mind, whether regarding Buddhism or worldly matters. We need to have determination, need to want to be able to examine our motives and feelings, to find our faults and courageously correct them. In no way should we be afraid of doing this. I Ching, the Book of Changes, contains 64 combinations. Each combination has 6 explanations or predictions. The wind thunder symbol represents benefit and is concerned with resolution and determination. If we are able to make the resolution and have the determination to correct our erroneous ways and to cultivate kindness, we need to do so, for then and only then are we able to receive true benefits. If we can immediately reform without hesitation, then we have done as the wind thunder symbol said we would. From the text. If we can follow the 3 ways of shame, fear, and determination to reform, then our personality will surely be transformed. End quote. In reforming ourselves, we need to have these 3 hearts of shame, fear, and courageous determination. To have a shameful heart is self-awakening. To have a respectful and fearful heart is to be conscience-stricken. Only when we have both of these do we give rise to a courageous and determined heart. To have this heart is to regret and reform ourselves. So knowing this, why are we unable to correct our faults? We do not yet possess a shameful and fearful heart. The courageous and determined heart arises from the shameful and fearful heart. If we do not know shame, then we are not afraid of being laughed at by others. So there is no incentive for us to cultivate kindness. How do we sustain these 3 hearts? Of all sutras, why do we choose the Infinite Life Sutra for everyone to practice? It is not that the rest of the sutras are not good. They just do not explain as perfectly as does the Infinite Life Sutra. It completely explains the matters, principles, causes, and effects. It is not too long. It is easy for modern people to practice, and it is the essence of all sutras. Our morning and evening ceremony recitation book is especially compiled for fellow practitioners at the Amitabha Buddhist societies. Ancient virtuous people originally edited the older versions of the recitation book. So their versions were designed to cure the problems, the illnesses of their time. Thus, as expected, it was effective for them. However, our problems are different from theirs. Thus, we need to modify the morning and evening ceremonies. For the morning ceremony, we recite Chapter 6 of the Infinite Life Sutra in the hope of having the same mind, the same vow as Buddha Amitabha. For the evening ceremonies, we recite chapters 32 through 37. These 6 chapters explain the 5 offenses of killing, stealing, engaging in sexual misconduct, lying, and consuming intoxicants. The essence of these 6 chapters is the 5 fundamental precepts and the 10 bad conducts. They are causes. These chapters also talk of the 5 sufferings, which are the current sufferings we undergo, and of the 5 burnings, which include the retributions we will bear after our current lives, the consequences we undergo in the hell realms. As we recite these daily, they can help us to regret, reflect, and to reform. Reciting these chapters is essentially the same as reciting the repentance verse. After reading it, we need to be vigilant, to be awakened, to sincerely mend our ways, and to follow their guidance in understanding and in cultivation. We will gain benefit from this kind of recitation practice. Therefore, it is important for us to have the 3 kinds of hearts. From the text. Just as the sun's rays shine on a thin layer of ice in the springtime, there is no need to worry about its melting. End quote. If we have these 3 hearts, we will immediately reform our faults. It is just like the ice in springtime. As the weather grows warmer, the ice grows thinner. When the sun comes out, the ice melts. It is the same with our wisdom. As it grows, our karmic obstacles will melt away. From the text. There are also 3 methods of practice to help us to reform. First is changing through behavior. Second is changing through reasoning. And third is changing from the heart. Since the methods vary, so do the results. For example, if I killed living beings in the past, I now vow not to kill again, starting today. If I was angry and yelled at others in the past, I vow now not to get angry, starting today. This is how a person changes through behavior and refrains from repeating a wrongdoing by vowing not to do it again. End quote. The commentary stated, generating a shameful, fearful, and determined and courageous heart is the cause of regretting and reforming. It shows us the three paths of behavior, reasoning, and heart. This details the methods of practice in reforming. Previously, Mr. Liao spoke of principles. Now, he tells us of the methods of practice. There are three general kinds of methods. These differ in levels, thus the results differ as well. First, let us talk about changing through behavior. When we are angry, we lose our temper and often yell at others. This encroaches upon using abusive language. We can change through behavior and refrain from repeating this wrongdoing by vowing not to do it again. This is to totally change through behavior, to find each and every fault and to reform them. At first, Mr. Liao also changed through behavior. We see him accomplishing his 3,000 good deeds over 10 years. Taking this long to accomplish this amount of good deeds is really not that outstanding. The second time, he only took 4 years to accomplish the next 3,000 good deeds when he sought and attained a son.